It was in the fall of 2013, or perhaps 2012. Now that my memory is a purple haze of gray, I ordered a cocktail from the Pontchartrain Hotel bar. Outside, I was greeted by a beautiful twilight, and of course I indulged on a seat with an oak table, the humidity now subsiding by the cool wind air of the eve. On the street could be heard a car-bustling beauty of the St. Charles Avenue, the streetcars, and life. Fresh off work at my banking job, I smoked a Perique cigarette and was delighted by local Lower Garden District business owners and many abroad. The essence of the night was a paranormal bliss. Bonjour and benvenue, my friends, and thank you for joining me in the Wicked Webs We Weave podcast. I am your host, Ryan McKern, and tonight we delve into the paranormal and history of the Pontchartrain Hotel, a Lower Garden, New Orleans staple and beauty, elegant and charming, modern yet classic, haunted and divine. Warm yourself by the proverbial fire, my friends. Welcome back to the darkness. This is the Wicked Webs We Weave. The Pontchartrain Hotel is one of the most haunted hotels in New Orleans, said to host as many as 25 real ghosts, likely due to a massive fire that happened in 1929. Of these ghosts includes a pair of sisters who once lived in the building, which was originally built as apartments in 1927, as they did reside on the entirety of the 11th floor. Ghost hunters have claimed to encounter full-bodied spectral apparitions of the sisters. The legend states that one sister, in a jealous rage, attempted to murder her own sister by an act of arson, setting fire to the apartment floor in which they lived. The fire inadvertently caused the death of a sleeping husband and wife on the floor right below the raging apartment fire. The married couple, who burned to death, still haunt the 9th floor near the ice machine. Guests have reported strange occurrences after returning to a 9th floor room, only after getting ice as the ice machine itself, including ghostly hands being dropped on the backs of startled guests. Locals also state that the former famed pianist, Toots Washington, continues to play phantom tunes downstairs in the Bayou Bar, where Toots played in the 1960s, regularly after the rise to stardom in the 1920s and the 1930s. It is said that with the mysterious disembodied tinkling of the ivory keys ring out from the downstairs long after the Bayou Bar has closed. It causes at least one apparition of a trio of ghosts to appear. It is as if the ghostly piano playing summons a man in a tuxedo with two women, one on each of his arms. From an unknown room, the spirits of the man and two women can be seen strolling the hallway and disappearing before Toots Washington is playing in the lounge below. The pianist who died whilst playing on stage at the 1984 World's Fair, not too far from this haunt in New Orleans. The Pontchartrain Hotel, apparently, old musicians never die in New Orleans. They just get a new gig somewhere. Many special thanks to Toots Washington, the Toots family, and the legacy and music that enriched our lives. Now back to the Pontchartrain Hotel, and let's discuss its history. The Pontchartrain Hotel was constructed in 1927 and intended to be used as a luxury apartments. Luxury inspired is an unusual name, as the famous luxurious King Louis had a Count de Pontchartrain in his court. I'll let you be the judge of whether or not this hotel lived up to the French king's standards, but it certainly tried to best. the city's new then streetcar, had a line that stopped right outside of the hotel's doorsteps, and its 14 stories gave you a panoramic view of the 200 oak trees that lined the Garden District and the Mississippi River. The hotel was built up to be in the crossroads of uptown and downtown. If you wanted to enjoy a nice evening out, dining, dancing, drinking, or enjoying New Orleans' famous jazz, the Pontchartrain Hotel was ideally located, and the hotel's reputation grew. So did the guest book's caliber. Tennessee Williams, amongst many, to be the guest. Over the years, guests such as The Doors, Rita Hayworth, Frank Sinatra, President Gerald Ford, George H.W. Bush, have all called this place for a night or two home. During the election year of 2016, the hotel went through a major renovation phase with even more luxurious accommodations and new nightlife, all while still keeping a timeless look and feel, the charm that we enjoy, the history of this old city and beauty that is New Orleans. The catastrophic fire in 1929 that killed a couple who were staying in a hotel on the 9th floor. Their spirits have never left the building, according to staff members. They can still be seen today enjoying each other's company in the afterlife. They're not the only ones either. If you hang around the hotel long enough, you're bound to hear whispers of the ghosts who haunt the 11th floor. A couple, it's hard to say what the 11th floor is to the ghosts, are friendly. Maybe it's the best place to hear the music of the city. But, whatever the reason is, ghosts indeed love the 11th floor. Some of the guests of the Pontchartrain Hotel include an elderly man who may have died in 1912 fire. There's also a pair of sisters who are said to haunt the building. But the most famous ghost of the building, by far, is Toots Washington. He was a blues legend who taught himself how to play the piano at 10 years old. And he was also a fixture in New Orleans' famous music scene during the first half of the 20th century. Even though he died in 1977, Toots is said to still pop by and play the piano behind the bar, around the bar, sometimes summoning other lively ghosts. The Legends of Vampires of the Pontchartrain Hotel. What would a New Orleans story be without vampires? It's not only my passion, but the passions of many. There's been more than just a handful of ghosts that might haunt the swanky halls of the Pontchartrain Hotel. Not bellhops nor dogs. We're talking about vampires. Other than the famous Toots Washington, the legendary and seldom seen vampire Pontchartrain Hotel might be the place's most famous current resident. If he does not exist, it's hard to see why a vampire like him would take up in New Orleans, ever since Anne Rice, noted vampire author and novel resident, started writing about the vampires. If it was indeed exposing of the life and the inner workings and lifestyle of the vampires, the association between blood-sucking monsters in the city has been strong. Anne Rice even wrote about the Pontchartrain Hotel in the book The Witching Hour. Like most good vampires, the Pontchartrain is one said to hide out during the daylight, perhaps taking up residence in the sunlight, free basement below. They'll come out at night. Maybe to dine, maybe to feast, maybe to enjoy Toots' piano. However, this vampire does partake in a favorite meal, and so discreetly no guest have ever been attacked by such a figure, perhaps being found by other ways to satisfy the cravings, or perhaps it just doesn't want his home to garner a bad reputation. After all, moving can be a pain, even for the vampire. I would like to thank CajunEncounters.com, NovaGhost.com, And please see the description for the YouTube links and videos used for this episode. I appreciate all my subscribers, and I want to thank you all again for joining me all the time, leaving likes and comments, and just enjoying these videos and podcasts for what they are. And it brings a smile to my face to know that you're listening. Once again, I'm Ryan McKern for the Wicked Webs Wee Wee podcast, and until we see each other again in a hotel vampire masquerade, au revoir.
And he'd come to the house, especially when he had a few, and he'd just play that. He'd just walk into the house and sit down to the piano and play that, and it was just delightful because it was his full repertoire. So every part of his life went into that piece, you know, and that kind of playing. Well, Toots was a little older than than many of the guys, even though he hung so heavily till no one ever thought he was that much older than some of the guys. I got started really early on full piano type, and I do know that some came from him, even though vicariously. And guys doing that day, doing the old jitney dance days, and the butterfly type piano.
What is a full piano? I mean, what do you think he was really saying?
Well, we'll have to keep it in context. Full piano to Griggs, but to Toots here, to dear Toots, full piano would have been tense, things like that. And if you notice, you heard him rolling from time to time.